When you first become president, one of the questions that people ask.
I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses. It would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse, trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the dirty. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everybody doing out there tonight? Hope everyone is doing well. Had a little bit of trouble getting started there tonight. Hit the wrong intro button there. I guess old habits die hard. But yeah, that was the very first time I have played the brand new intro. You guys, let me know what you think about that. Worked hard, worked with Mr. Brian on getting that put together. He and I did all the tracks and everything like that, and then Brian threw the video and all that stuff together. I think it turned out really well. Also released the brand new logo for Paranormal Odyssey, and that was done as all my other stuff, all my art is done by my beautiful, talented wife, Jordan. So, we just released the new logo and the new intro on the same day. There's that new intro, or the new logo, I'm sorry. Yeah, really, really excited about it. I'm happy with how it turned out. I told her kind of what I wanted, and that was it. She took it from there and put it all together, and I think it turned out great. All right, all of that out of the way. Again, thank you so very much for hanging out with us on this Friday night. Once again, got a good one lined up for you. But before we get there, let's do all this normal stuff. If you guys have not done so already, hit that subscribe button. Sure would appreciate it. If you have had an encounter and would like to come on an episode and share it with me, or if you're a researcher or author, anything like that related to paranormal, cryptid, UFO, anything weird, I'd love to talk to you. Shoot me an email. You can get me at wayne@paranormalworldproductions.com. Also, guys, I want to ask everybody to head over and check out the website, paranormalworldproductions.com. You can just follow all three of the sister shows over there, Sasquatch Odyssey, Paranormal Odyssey, and True Crime Odyssey. So head over there and check all those out. Sure would appreciate it. Also, guys, as you know, I'm the founder, president of Manimal Research. Got an expedition tomorrow, actually. I'm leaving early in the morning. A couple of Manimal members will be with me. And we're heading out to do a nighttime investigation. We're going to camp for one night and see what we can come up with. Hopefully next week we'll have some cool stuff to share with you. But yeah, again, that is Manimal Research on Facebook. We have the group over there. If you're not a member, we'd love to have you. So head on over there and join the group. Excuse me. All right. All of that out of the way, we can get down to tonight's show. I'm excited about tonight. I got Josh on. Josh from the Phantom Detectives. Really interesting guy. I've been doing a lot of paranormal investigations with his team. Actually he sent me some pictures we're going to be sharing with you guys and let you see what you think about them, and also going to be screen sharing his YouTube channel and watching a couple of, or at least one video that let him talk about what was going on there. And again, before I forget, guys, if you have any questions for Josh tonight, don't hesitate to send those over. But we ask that you do that in all caps. Put those questions in all caps. Just makes it easier for me to see them when you guys pop them up. I say it every week. I'll say it again. If I don't get to your question, it's not on purpose. I just didn't see it. So if some time goes by, top it out again. And just make sure you put it in all caps, and I will get to it. All right. All of that out of the way. I'm ready to get started. Looks like Josh is ready. He is backstage, and we're going to go ahead and bring him on.
Hi, everyone.
Josh, how's it going, buddy?
Good. How are you today?
Doing very well. Very well. Thank you so very much for taking the time to come and hang out with me. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Me too. And I know I had this circled on my show calendar, as well as I was sharing it out with all of the Phantom Detectives fans and supporters of the team. So I look forward to answering any questions that come in from your end and from your listeners' end.
Very cool. Yeah, tell us a little bit about Phantom Detectives. How did that particular organization get its start, and how did you get your start in this field?
I got my start in the field by watching a show called Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack. Much like any kid in 1988, I was really intrigued with this episode called The General Wayne Inn. And the General Wayne Inn is a place in Marion Station, Philadelphia, right outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And there it's an old coaching inn. Basically, it was built in 1705 and was named after Revolutionary War hero Major General Anthony Wayne. And basically, of course, we call the Inn of the 17 Ghosts. And once after watching that episode, I started getting interested in this field. And much like any kid, I watched, the Ghostbusters movies with Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson. Those are classics. And then, of course, once I started researching. I started listening to Art Bell in the mid '90s, hearing him do Coast to Coast AM and Dreamland, where he really kind of opened up my world, talking about UFOs and cryptids and all that. And then, of course, when I watched a show called The Other Side on NBC with Linda Moulton Howe, and Linda, of course, is one of the world's top experts on crop circles and cattle mutilations, I really started getting more and more interested in this field. And then I had my first kind of pre-paranormal investigation. I did had the rare opportunity with one of my early mentors in the field by the name of Michaeline Mayer. She actually had a local Philadelphia paranormal investigation team in Philadelphia in 2002. And I went down to the basement area of the General Wayne Inn and just started taking 3, old digital camera photos. At that time, ghost hunting equipment wasn't as advanced as it is now with all the various gadgetry. But then you only had like a basic EMF meter. You might have had a voice recorder and a digital camera and just a few small tools. But there I started taking 3 pictures in a row. And then I saw these really weird green and yellow streaks of light in the photos. And I was like, oh, wow, what's this? What's going on here? Why are these? And I took it to the film company and they had no explanation for it. And what's interesting, it's in the basement area. Supposedly over the last 150 years at the General Wayne, and people have reported seeing the spirit of a Hessian soldier named Wilhelm who died there, and the Hessians were known to use, Colonel Raw's regiment was known to actually have green and yellow uniforms, so it matches the color schemes found in the photo, matches what they actually would have wore on those photos. Then of course, you got 2003, you got ghost hunters coming out. Jason and Grant were really pioneering this field before everyone else did. And then, I'm watching the episodes. I started getting more and more intrigued with how they, basically, went out on investigations, contacted locations, and then basically brought their team out and then started, basically interviewing the clients, setting up their equipment in the areas where there's activity. and then reviewing the evidence and then presenting it at the end of the show. So then you got, Ghost Hunters, and you got Ghost Adventures, all those shows started coming out. Paranormal State with Ryan Buell. And of course, the funny thing is, Weidman, who's one of the top paranormal investigators in the world, my best friend Gwen went to college with her at the time when they were recording Paranormal State, which is pretty awesome. And the field was always amazing. And then I really started, getting more and more, started reading more and more books. And then I was watching an episode of a haunting called The Haunting of Summerwind, which is in Wisconsin. And basically, after watching the episode, it was season 1, episode 2, I went ahead and actually reached out. I went on summerwindmansion.com, which was still listed at that time. And Summerwind actually is known to be Wisconsin's most notorious haunted house. So on the website, it said blueprints for sale. So I went ahead and, emailed the seller. And the seller turned out to be Raymond von Bober, who was actually the owner of the original blueprints of Summerwind. And basically there, I went ahead, bought both sets, and found a connection via a YouTube stream link that said, hey, a newsfeed of Summerwind came up, and basically I came across Craig Naring. Craig is the the founder of Fox Valley Ghost Hunters up in Appleton and Green Bay, and he actually knows the owners of the Summerwind property. So together with me having the blueprints of the property and having access to a lot of media outlets, I was working from Pennsylvania. Craig and I created the Summerwind Restoration Society in 2014. And Summerwind's got a long history. I mean, there's so much to it. And basically over the years, it burnt down in 1988. So all that remains are the 2 tall chimneys and the foundation. But the beautiful thing is we have the original blueprint. So we created this idea that, hey, why don't we restore, rebuild, and relaunch Summerwind as a haunted bed and breakfast? And the idea came from, hey, I said, this has never been done before, ever in paranormal history. So we started doing benefits on the property and campouts where the public can come investigate and donate to the property. And over the last 7-8 years, the project is now to a point where there are definitely streaming networks that are interested in airing a classic updated version of the Summerwind episode from season 1, episode 2. And are now interested. Now all that Craig's got to do is find investors, and hopefully someday the place will get rebuilt. Then, of course, in 2015, I called into basically one of basically Art Bell's producers' shows, and basically said, "Hey, would you be interested in booking my friends Craig and Kevin?" Because at the time they were Kevin Malik, who actually was alive. He created the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society up in Rhinelander, and Kevin and Craig, of course, were working with me on the Summerwind project. So I wanted to book them on Art Bell's show Midnight in the Desert. And this was Art was getting ready for his big return in 2015, and all of a sudden I started working with one of his producers. And what happened was it just started to get to a point where we started talking, and I just started volunteering on the side, and doing like audio editing, video editing, and booking some of the guests. And eventually I ended up working with one of Art's old producers, and then eventually it ended up leading me to become the full-time producer of the show, and which basically I did for 2 years. And then I went ahead and started, I started a previous team. Unfortunately, that team didn't work out because a couple of the members had moved away. So I started another team, and this one was where I created Phantom Detectives. I went ahead and created business cards, social media pages, set up a team email, had logos designed. Basically, then we just started doing investigations under the new banner. And my idea, I got this from after watching, this old 1950s comic book called The Phantom Detectives. So I said, hey, this is a really cool name. No one's ever basically, done, the word, phantom, like detecting phantoms. So that's what all we're trying to do in the paranormal. So basically, I went ahead and had all that developed. And then I actually had the opportunity in October 2020. I met Brian J. Cano, who was on The Haunted Collector with John Zaffis. And there he actually had a public investigation at the Selma Mansion, which is in Norristown, Pennsylvania. And there I actually got to meet him, and he showed me and my I brought one of my previous team members over from my old team, and she actually is a Civil War reenactor, a sound engineer. She develops paranormal investigation equipment, and she was our first lead investigator. So Brian taught us how to set up a ghost box, how to do EMF sweeps, how to properly do EVPs, how to map with the SLS camera. He was just a great teacher. And of course, what we did was he took that knowledge and we did our first official investigation on December 9th, 2020 at the Sanderson Museum in Chadsport, Pennsylvania. So that was the night that Phantom Detectives, in terms of investigation-wise, was born.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Now, I've been on the record, saying many, many times, and I'll say it again. The one thing that has stopped me from getting into, paranormal, ghost hunting, if you will, is that fear of something latching on and bringing it back home with me. That terrifies me. I'd hate to think that some kind of spirit latched onto me and I brought it home and it got on my children, my wife, or something like that. Is that a fear of yours? Have you ever experienced anything like that, or do you know of anyone that has?
Well, actually, we were, we've had our first 13 investigations so far. And I remember one investigation especially where basically we were doing this guy's apartment. Basically, he goes by the YouTube handle Wreaking Havoc 215. And basically there, in terms of all that, basically this guy actually reported seeing, in terms of basically, he started saying he started having a UFO. He started seeing markings on his legs that were, he believed he was abducted by UFOs. And then he showed some really, showed his bed sheets being pulled up like this when he was sleeping. And then there's different spirit faces. So this guy's apartment in Philadelphia was pretty wild. The night that we were there in August of 2021, this was a special for a YouTube channel called Dark Hour Paranormal with Michael Roser, who's a good friend of ours. And basically, we did that investigation. And from the minute that we got there, we started feeling sick and nauseated. And from the minute afterward we left, we also felt nauseated. And basically, that was an experience that we'll never forget. As long as I live doing this paranormal investigation field. And the last case that we just did, the homeowner reported having demonic activity. So we had to bless ourselves, make sure we use sage, holy water. We all prayed together. We had to make sure before we went into that house that we were fully equipped, and we made sure we, blessed ourselves and prayed, and we were ready. And we got, and since we did the cleansing, the homeowner reports having no paranormal activity at all in the basement area. So it makes me feel good knowing that we helped this client, and also we gave them a sense of peace.
Wow, that's very cool. So people can actually contact you if they're having any issues that they believe is paranormal related, and you and your team can come in there and tell them if that's what they're experiencing, and if so, you help them with that?
Absolutely, yes. And what's really cool is my friend Josh Vandy Wettering. He's a good friend of a guy named Bill Wilkins. Bill created the website paranormalsocieties.com. Bill actually, used to assign cases to clients, and the website used to have 4,892 teams. But unfortunately, Bill disappeared in June of 2020. No one has seen or heard from him since. So his friend Josh actually created paranormalsocieties.org, which is the successor to paranormalsocieties.com. So if you know anybody that has any teams out there, paranormalsocieties.org, you can register your team, and basically Josh will go ahead and approve. He'll research your team and approve you. And what's really cool about this new website is clients will be able to submit cases to teams all over the country through this website. And Phantom Detectives, of course, is listed on paranormalsocieties.org. So if any of your listeners are in the Pennsylvania or Maryland or New Jersey area that need help, you can just go through the website, paranormalsocieties.org, and submit your cases, or just go to our website, phantomdetectives.org, and hop on our Discord server or email us, and we'll get back to you. We always have plenty of ways for people to reach us for investigations. We're on many different platforms. So we have a Discord server, we've got emails, we've also got, our Facebook pages, Instagram pages. So, it's very easy for people that need investigations to find us, and we're always willing to jump and help people when in need.
Now, where are you guys located physically?
We're located physically, our home office, which is right here. I'm here in Oxford, Pennsylvania. This is like the official home of Phantom Detectives, which is right near the Maryland border. And our other two members, Melissa Ferrazano, who's not here tonight, and Rick Warner. And we also have Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer. Melissa and Rick live in Wilmington, Delaware. And Mark, of course, lives in Florida, but he comes up a lot to the Pennsylvania, King of Prussia area. Who's a world-renowned psychic medium. So basically, our members are pretty much based out of Wilmington, Delaware, like the southeastern PA, Wilmington, Delaware area.
I hear there's a lot going on in Pennsylvania. It's one of the most active states out there, not only for paranormal activity, but there's a lot of cryptid and other stuff, things of that nature in Pennsylvania. It's a pretty active state, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I do know Eric Altman, who runs the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society. He's fabulous. And, in terms of like, we've got Pennhurst out here, we've got Fort Mifflin, we've got, the General Wayne Inn, which is, of course, a Jewish synagogue, so no one can do investigations there now, but it was great at the time I went. We got Gettysburg out here. I mean, we've got so much. And then, of course, up in the Appalachian areas, up in the mountains area of Pennsylvania, of course, we got a lot of, dense forests and stuff. And there's a lot of, Bigfoots have been seen up in those areas. So this is a great state. If you're a paranormal enthusiast or ever plan on visiting, Pennsylvania, this is the place to go. And what's so cool is I'm actually good friends with Vincent Pontius, who is actually Art Bell's son. He actually lives in Philadelphia, like an hour from me.
Wow, that's really really cool. Now, do you have an interest in the cryptid stuff? Do you ever get out and do any Bigfooting?
Not yet, but I would like to jump in and do it. I've booked a lot of the big time Bigfoot guests on various radio shows for Art Bell staff members. From Lauren Coleman to Robert Gimlin to basically all the big names in the field, Cliff Barackman and Michael Rugg and all them people. So I booked a lot of them on Art staff member shows, but in terms of actually getting out and doing a Bigfoot investigation, that is something definitely that is on my horizon. I would love to do. And I know Eric actually runs the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society up in the mountain area of Pennsylvania. So I might ask him sometime whenever he's got time, he can come out and teach you how to do field survey and how to do, Bigfoot research. That's always been a lifelong passion. And I believe Bigfoot, especially when you watch the Patterson-Gimlin film, some people say it's, it was all kind of, fake, but also there's a lot of people that, the way the Bigfoot's walking like this, and, you can see that film from 1967, you can see a lot of proof that Bigfoot was real. And Bob Gimlin is still alive, actually. And he actually believes beyond a shadow of a doubt that what he captured with basically Robert Patterson was real.
Oh, absolutely. It's been debated for quite some time, and I really don't see how it's still being debated. I'm on record saying, and I'll say it again, that the mystery of Sasquatch was solved in 1967, in my opinion. We got the evidence that we needed right there in the Patterson-Gimlin film. Could be wrong. I mean, if it's a hoax, those guys were way ahead of their time because, either the year before or the year after, I think Planet of the Apes won the Oscar for best costume. And if you look at Patty and then look at those apes, which was the best Hollywood could do at the time. Right. I mean, he won the Academy Award for what he made for that movie. There's no comparison from what you see in the film to the apes in Planet of the Apes. So if it's a hoax, my hat's off to them, man. They did an amazing job. But the outfit, the costume has never been presented.
Right.
And someone would have, in my opinion, unless it was burnt right after, someone would have turned that in, or at least shown that they had the ability to make another one,
Absolutely. And I think that, especially because factor in that footage, the way it was shot and the way it was shot from a distance, it wasn't shot close up. You can see the way how the walk, and you can see it looking at them too, just the way the thing's walking and the way it's going like this, and the way its movement is and the way it's kind of gliding its tracks. You can see that Patterson and Gimlin really were ahead of their time doing this, and it was basically, like you said, someone would have came forward after that and said, hey, this was a hoax, like you said, maybe 5-10 years after that footage was taken, but no one ever did. So I believe Bob Gimlin with all my heart, and I have spoken to him several times over email, and he basically seems to me like a true blue kind of person, and he would never try to fabricate something for press. He seems to me like a guy that, he believes what he says, and he doesn't have any kind of Basically, he doesn't care about the critics. He just says, "This is my story, and I'm always going to stick by what I know and what I saw."
Yeah, and I don't want to spend too much time on the Bigfoot stuff because I know you're a paranormal guy. But just speaking a little bit more about Bob Yellen, I don't know how true it is, but I had heard before that he was offered $1 million to admit to faking the film, and he wouldn't do it. And at the time, $1 million would have made a big difference in his life. I mean, it make a
Absolutely.
big difference in most of our lives. It certainly would mine.
I know
But
if you talk to
the
Dr.
man
Jeff
turned it down.
and Jeff Meldrum, he's pretty amazing too. Like he's like one of the guys to talk to, like up in Idaho for the University of Idaho. He actually has Bigfoot prints. I think he's actually like gotten some on some like surveys out in like the wilderness of Idaho. So definitely a really great guy to talk to on terms of that topic.
Yeah, Jeff Meldrum, he's a rock star in the
Yes,
Bigfoot community. Everybody is well aware of Dr. Meldrum. Yeah, he's top notch in my opinion. But anyway, let's move on to the spooky stuff. Like I said, we got your YouTube channel pulled up, and I'm going to share with everyone just briefly one of your videos. I'll pull it up and I'll hit play, and we'll be able to hear it and everything. But just kind of walk us through what we're seeing, okay?
sure, I can narrate that, no problem.
Okay, so Phantom Detectives, we are here in the.
That is Rick Warner talking, who is our lead investigator, and this sounds like the one that we were doing the Chairs Warner Spirit Box session, which is in a client's home in New Providence, Pennsylvania. And basically, we're doing our version of the Estes method.
Melissa, who's our psychic medium, and
So Melissa,
she's going to be describing any kind of emotions or things that she's feeling.
like really one
and
of the
we're
top
going to be asking questions.
And what she's doing,
and there's our portal box down there below.
we're using the
You
portal
can see
box
we have the Estes box, spirit box,
hooked up to basically.
the box.
Rick was using the S
Okay,
box.
so I have a question.
I'm using the blindfold. And the cool thing about the Chairs Warner method, we also had a voice recorder and we added in a EMF meter. So basically, Melissa, is one of the most gifted psychic mediums that I have ever seen. So basically, the portal box helps clean up the ghost box, and it cleans out all that white noise, so you can really get the clear spirit voices. And she was picking up on a lot of different things during this investigation. She was picking up on previous owners from the 70s. And so forth. So she really is, she's a student of Cindy Kaza from the Holzer files, with Dr. Hans Holzer, who was pretty much America's first ghost hunter. And Melissa has soaked up all of Cindy's knowledge. And she joined the team in June of 2021, bringing her skills from remote viewing and advanced mediumship and development, and EFT energy tapping. She's an expert in past life regressions and Reiki. So she's really talented, and she can pick up on things that nobody else can. Every time that she's done an investigation with us, she has no knowledge of any history, and she'll always pick up at least one thing from the property in terms of historical significance, and then go back and check it, and it's spot on with the history.
Okay, so that is your actual medium for Phantom Detectives that we're seeing right here?
Yep, that's okay. Melissa. Yep.
So it's a little hard being able to hear you and the video. So what I'd like to do is I'll play the video and we'll listen in. And if you see a point that you want me to pause it, just tell me to pause and then you can talk, okay?
Sounds good.
How many spirits are present here in this family room?
I'm feeling that dark-haired gentleman in here. He's just really connecting with me, almost draining me. He's very prominent in here. He just likes to observe.
What is your name? Tell us your name.
keep feeling the name Michael, and I'm wondering if it's him and if he lived in this home at one time.
So just to clarify, I paused it real quick. She has a blindfold on and headphones on, like I guess like ear muffs, right? Where she cannot hear what you guys are saying.
Exactly, yes. And what's amazing is during this part is that she has no idea what we're saying. She's got noise canceling headphones. She's got the Ghost Box up to her. Or we use actually the S Box instead of the PSP 7 and the PSP 11, which were developed by Gary Galka. Because the S Box is actually better because it actually you can actually it has internal storage on it, and you can back up all of your Ghost Box sessions, your AM/FM sweeps with an SD cards, which makes it really nice. All that.
So what we just saw there was she had no ability to hear the gentleman talking, and the gentleman asked the spirit, "What's your name? Who is this? What's your name?" She had no idea that was being asked. Correct?
Exactly. Yes, she had no idea, and that was our lead investigator, Rick Warner, basically asking those questions, basically from that footage. So basically, she had no idea what was being said, and factor in basically, it was completely quiet, and basically there was nobody else in the house but us three. So basically, for her to basically pick up on the name Michael and someone dark hair, and I actually went back and asked, the current that owner of that home, her name's JH. That's the client that we had. Basically, was there anybody named Michael in the past history of the house? And she said yes. It was like one of the first two, like one of the owners back in the 70s and 80s who had dark, black hair, dark black hair / brown hair. So it really matches the, basically history of the house, basically, in terms of what's been there since the 1970s.
I want to ask any of our viewers out there that are watching right now to comment and let me know if you can hear the video. Okay, the young lady in the video, if you can hear her. Okay, I'm sure you can hear Josh and I fine, but just let me know if the video is coming through. And I'm going to go back over and click play for a little bit more.
Michael, is this you? If you are, speak to the spirit box. You can just say the word yes or whatever you want to talk about. Is this you, Michael? Are you present with us today? Are there any other spirits besides the dark-haired gentleman that want to make themselves known?
I'm seeing an older woman cooking meals in the kitchen. I'm feeling like 1970s, and got a heaviness in my chest.
That's what I was feeling earlier. Same thing.
She's showing me a glimpse in time that this was her home. She spent a lot of time in the kitchen.
Did you have something you wanted to add there, Josh?
Yeah, so basically what she was also picking up on basically there during that session, you can see like when she's completely blindfolded and Rick's asking questions, or anybody else here, she's also picking up on the spirit of a woman who was cooking meals and was preparing things. And this person might have been the wife of Michael, who she had previously had mentioned in the video, who might have been one of the possible owners back in the 1970s on this farm. So basically for her to be picking up on these two spirits, basically they must have either been in the area or basically been been like maybe there was a previous home on the property. We'll have to back check the records of the house, but basically for her to pick up on that is basically spot on with the history of the house. So she has no idea of any of this stuff, and she's soaked up all of Cindy Kaye's knowledge from the Holzer files. She's taking classes with her, so she's been tutored by Cindy.
Okay, let's go a little bit more.
Kitchen. She was a good cook. She showed me she had small children. I'm not sure if the gentleman is connected to her, if this was a family member. This is possibly a husband, maybe.
Is this lady present in the kitchen right now as we're doing this session? Are you in the kitchen? Is the lady present? Are you wanting to cook a meal for us? Or anyone else for that matter? How many spirits are here in this family room? How many spirits are present today that are in this house? Are you okay with us being here?
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for answering our question. Much appreciated. Who is with us right now? What is your name?
I'm picking up is there Alfred or is there, I don't know. I'm picking up on that myself, not through the spirit box.
Is there an Alfred here today that wants to communicate? Do any of your spirits in here feel trapped? Do you feel like you're stuck here? Do you feel okay being here in this home? Or do you feel that your spirit needs to move on? Joshua, you have a question you want to ask me?
Yes. Alfred, if you're here, basically, what you come from, the 70s or the 50s, or what decade are you from?
So, how often do you get responses?
I'm going to say almost every investigation. Melissa is a clairaudient and a clairsentient. Basically, a clairaudient means she can hear spirit, and also a clairsentient means she can sense spirit. So usually when we do the Chairs Warner method, almost every single time we get responses from the various spirits. And what's interesting is when we did this investigation with our psychic medium Melissa, we also had a Paralight Plus from North Canton Paranormal Detectives set up, and that thing was going off like crazy nearby. And also, we also had various basically REM pods set up and going beep, 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 like that. And also, we also had, our EMF meter set on the living room, and that was going off. And we also have, one of those motion sensor Medusa heads with that, a lady with snakes, and just one of our little devices that we use, that was going off. So for all those devices to go off on different parts of the spirit box sweep was pretty wild. And basically, we almost get like at least 5 or 6 responses almost every investigation. So I think it just comes down to we're respectful. We say please and thank you for letting us come into your home tonight to do this investigation. And when you show respect to the spirits, you're going to get respect back. Treating them with kindness, it always leaves a lot more positive result than people that try to go in like Zach Baggins and say, hey, you go do it to him, now do it to me. So I think it comes down to respect. So the more that respectful you are when you say please and thank you, you're going to get that return back to you from the spirits, and they'll communicate with you through their different various devices, either through a ghost box or a voice recorder or an SLS camera or an EMF meter or any other apparatus that you use. It just comes down to basically respect for the property, and you're going to get respect back. So I think that's why we get great results every investigation, because we know what we're doing, and we're always ahead of the game in terms of our evidence review, and we really put our clients first. We treat our clients like customers. They're the reason why we do what we do, and we want to continue to grow and get bigger. So we want to inspire a lot of others in the field to do their best, and hopefully, people form their own teams from Phantom Detectives. That's what I hope someday I can be, somebody in the field that basically can inspire others to do what we do. So it's great in what we do, and we're very passionate about helping everybody.
Yeah, it certainly seems like you guys are really really passionate about it. Now, I interviewed another group. It was actually the very first interview I did for Paranormal Odyssey when I took over. Interviewed another paranormal investigation team, and what kind of set them apart was they like to do things to kind of antagonize the ghost, to try to get a reaction out of them. One of the things they did was they went to, I think it's Brushy Mountain or somewhere. The gentleman that shot Martin Luther King, he was held at this prison. It's where he spent his last years. Right. They went to his cell and they started playing the I Have a Dream tape and got some crazy reactions from it. And their whole thing is they like to antagonize. Do you guys do that?
We don't antagonize. I just think that it's just a sign of disrespect, because basically you don't want to get attachments, you don't want to get scratches on your arms or your legs, you don't want to end up getting like hurt or injured or pushed down a flight of steps or have something latch on to you. So I think that's why we never have any kind of things following us home, because basically respect the spirit is also respecting their house and their place. And for those that antagonize, I highly don't recommend doing that, because it's only going to come back worse on you if you do it. So my best advice is basically for all the teams out there listening and watching, please, respect, the spirits that are in these locations, and don't try to antagonize them, because it's only going to make it worse. And what it also might do is also for other people that might visit that location, it might stir up the activity even more. So other people might get affected from what these teams are doing in some of these locations. So we highly recommend on Phantom Detectives that everybody make sure that they go in, prepared, but also respectful, because if you don't, it's going to end up affecting everyone else around them.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly understand that. And kind of to what you spoke to, they have had several instances where they've been scratched and pushed, and a couple of them have brought things home with them. So, I mean, that kind of speaks to what you were just saying.
I mean, you get what you deserve in terms of basically, in terms of what you antagonizing people. So that's why basically we're like professionals. We know exactly what we're doing from the minute we set foot in that building, and from the minute that we exit that building and break down our equipment. We know exactly how to approach every investigation, and every case is different. Sometimes some apparatuses that will take like the obvious 5 or the paranormal puck, they might not work in one location, but then we take them another location and they work like crazy. So sometimes these apparatuses are more like, they're going to pick and choose what they want to, use, but they might find, like, for example, child spirits are probably going to use little $2 or $3 light up cat balls, versus using like some $300, gyroscope from Paranologies, which Jerome develops, like the ghost doll, we like to call it. So, and in some cases, the ghost doll will actually work in other places, and the light up cat balls won't work. So usually, it all really depends on what's haunting that location. Is it a male, female spirit? Is it something demonic? Is it a shadow person? We've done so many cases now, and we really believe that every place is different. So basically, the equipment is kind of just, it adds to the flavor of ice cream. You could say it really adds to what our team members can pick up on.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, we're going to go on, shift gears a little bit, and I'm going to pop some pictures up here.
Cool.
And let you just tell everybody what we're looking at.
Perfect. Sounds good. Okay, so this was from our second investigation, from the mill of Anselma, which was founded by Samuel Lightfoot in 1747. This is the oldest operating mill in the United States. As actually a famous poet by the name of Sarah Oberheiser actually died on the property in the 1930s. Oliver Collins, of course, was one of the first millers of the mill. And this is an actual National Historic Landmark. This is in Chester Springs, Pennsylvania. And basically, this was actually recorded on the second floor of the mill, from what I remember. And this was from our DVR security camera. And our former team member actually had actually acquired this a piece of evidence from our DVR camera. What's amazing is you can see the silhouette of a woman. You can see the hair. You can see like the shoulders. And what's amazing about this photo is this actually matches the apparition of Sarah, who actually died. She was a famous poet that died in the 1930s. So we believe, based upon our research of this property, this is her spirit kind of showing itself to us, in the mill. And this was the same night that we also captured that door flying open by itself, and then also that rope swinging by itself. So this was in that same general area, both of those things that happened.
Wow, very cool. Very cool. Where was this location?
This is called the Mill of Anselma. It's in Chester Springs, Pennsylvania, above Downingtown, right outside of about 30 miles west of Philadelphia. So this is like in King of Prussia, like a little bit outside King of Prussia. So it's called Chester Springs, Pennsylvania, the Mill of Anselma, Anselma.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Got some thermal images.
Oh, yes. So we use a FLIR TG165. I love the FLIR thermal cameras. They are the best. And what we do is we point and click photos in unoccupied rooms against solid walls. We've noticed a lot of times you got to be very careful when you point and click with the thermal camera that nobody else is in the room, because it could cause a false mapping. But what's interesting with this photo was we captured this in the third floor ballroom of a place called Booby's Brewery. Bubes, Booby's Brewery, which is located in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. Mount Joy is on the western side of Lancaster County, and it's a little bit east of York County. So it's on the border of York County and Lancaster County. And we captured this on the third floor ballroom. We booked this investigation through our friends at Jump Next Paranormal, Melissa and Jerry Kettler, who are very good friends of our team. And we actually captured this with a FLIR. So you can see a figure kind of pointing, and it looks like it's pointing right at us. And we were in that direction at that time. And what's pretty amazing was with this thermal picture is that no one else was in the room at that time. So if it was an orange, or if it was a living person, it would be like an orange or a heat signature. But this ain't no heat signature.
Yeah, it does not appear to be. No, that's interesting. Really cool. See what we got next.
Okay, so this was same room, just a different side. This was recorded in the third Booby's Brewery, the third floor ballroom, and you can see on the photo, you can see like right between the corner of the windows, you can see that apparition standing in the middle. And I had done a radio show a couple months ago, and supposedly what they pointed out to me is in this picture, you can also see another spirit on the left window. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it looks like they pointed that out to me. There might be another, spirit on the left side of the window. And if you ever visit Pennsylvania, I highly recommend, scheduling a parent investigation with Melissa Keller and Jot Next Paranormal at the Booby's Brewery. They offer private investigations, and this is one of the most active, most haunted breweries in all of Pennsylvania. So this was captured in the ballroom in one of the corners of the room. So it's pretty amazing that we got captured literally two spirits back to back, and this was within 10 minutes of each other.
Very cool. Yeah, you can see it there in the middle. There's definitely something.
Absolutely, and it's not living.
See what we got next. The final one.
Wow. Okay, so this actually was captured in the bar area where Aloysius Booby, Bubes, was actually known to serve up his drinks. Like, he was a bartender at the brewery back in the 1870s, and I think he died around 1880 something. I know what's wild about this, you can see they're kind of like wearing tank tops. You can see the tank top, in the photo. And which is pretty amazing about this was also, the bar area was also unoccupied at this time. And what's really cool about the brewery is if you go visit it someday, if your listeners do, you can also go down. There's actually some catacombs, like in the basement area. The catacombs are absolutely beautiful. You can actually eat dinner there. And what's wild, the night that we did that investigation, our lead investigator, Rick Warner, actually was trying to scan the S box, the spirit box, and the thing was malfunctioning down in the basement area. It's almost like the spirits there did not want that thing to be scanned. So basically, when we took it up to the bar area, right where this photo was taken, right in the area of the photo, we also use a lot of various apparatuses. We also have one of those really nice tripwire EMF meters from North Canton Paranormal Detectives. So what's interesting is right in the area where this photo was taken, that thing, those tripwire EMF it's got multiple K2 sensor lights was going off like crazy, and we captured this image right in that area, which was pretty amazing. So Melissa's like, "Hey Josh, why don't you take a thermal picture right where those tripwire EMF lights are going off?" And I said, "Absolutely," and this is what was revealed.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Now, take this down.
Sure.
Have you ever seen an apparition in any of your investigations?
Seen, I'm going to say no, but I actually captured them. I think that the evidence itself speaks for itself. Yes. I haven't seen them physically, but I've actually captured like shadows and, seen things like I heard movement and stuff like that. Like you hear like a shuffling or something, or you'll hear like walking or footsteps, but I haven't seen anything yet. But it's very possible in the future, as we do more investigations and as we grow and get more experience, more stuff might pop up. As we get more, familiar with the different locations the homes and businesses that we're doing. So we definitely feel it's a matter of time before we see a spirit. Now, Melissa, I think that she's also a clairvoyant, so she can see spirits as our psychic medium. So the beautiful thing about her is we can use like a device like the Ovilus 5 from Digital Dowsing. And we can basically, if she's picking up on words and responses, we can use the Ovilus 5 and pair it with her. And so basically, if some of the words from the Ovilus 5, which uses the EMF fields on dictionary mode, matches her readings, then you got some kind of credibility with spirits there. So we definitely feel that a lot of these, gadgetries that we can use and set up, it's only going to help us, get bigger. So it's pretty amazing to see how far the field has come. And we've gotten so much stuff and so many responses on every location. We come up with at least 3 or 4 pieces every investigation.
Okay, now we're coming up on an hour. Before we get out of here, share with us the most scared you have ever been in an investigation. Where were you and what happened?
I'm going to say the most terrifying investigation that we've done so far was probably when we were at the Sanderson Museum, which is in Chaddsford, Pennsylvania. And the Sanderson Museum was founded in 1967 by Andrew Wyeth, who was a friend of Christian Sanderson. Mr. Sanderson was a musician, a poet, an actor, a radio host, and he hosted square dances in the area of Chaddsford, Pennsylvania. And that night we were doing world's largest ghost hunt, which is National Ghost Hunting Day, 2021, with our friends Maria Schmidt. And the night that we were there, actually we were doing an investigation basically of we were actually upstairs in the 3rd floor violin room. And the violin room is the most active area of the Sanderson Museum. And the night that we were there, actually, which was pretty wild, was basically Melissa and Rick went to go downstairs, and we noticed that our equipment bags were piled up. And Melissa and Rick were like, Josh and, our former lead investigator, "Hey, did you guys pile up those equipment bags in front of the stairs?" And we're like, "No, we were up here in the 3rd floor violin room the whole time." So for them equipment bags to be piled up like that is completely baffles me. And then what was wild was we went back and did we like to call our EVP session Phantom Time, where we let the Phantoms come out and speak to us on our voice recorders. And on that EVP session, or Phantom Time we call it, we actually asked the spirits, "Hey, are you trying to move our equipment bags and block us from leaving?" And the response that we got back on the voice recorder was the mother of Christian Sanderson, who died in the Sanderson Museum in the 1940s from tuberculosis. The words we got were "be afraid, be afraid." So for that actually to happen on the voice recorders is pretty wild. And that was probably one of the most terrifying investigations that I think we've ever done.
Wow. Yeah, man, it definitely sounds like it. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Sure. So we can be found on, actually, we have 5 websites on our team. Our first website is Melissa Ferrazano. She can be found at psychic, the word psychic, mediumautumn.com. So psychic, mediumautumn.com. She also has a mediumship business. She also does readings for her clients. So any of your listeners that would like a reading done, Melissa can be reached at psychicmediumautumn.com. That is our psychic medium, Melissa. Our other medium, our researcher, he's kind of like our Jeff Bellinger, Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer. He's one of the world's top mediums in the world, Oxford educated attorney. He can be reached at afterlifefrequency.com. So the word afterlifefrequency.com. That's Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer. He's our researcher. Our lead investigator / tech manager / director of client relations, Rick Warner, he's got his own UFO organization called Extraterrestrial Research Center. He can be found at ERC, the number ERC, the number 2, explore.com. So ERC2explore.com. And our team website is Phantom, PHANTOM, Detectives, DETECTIVS. So Phantom Detectives, like all one word, .org. And of course, the drum roll for that one, and our last brand, Dark Matter News, which was on Art Bell's Midnight in the Desert. That is our paranormal news hub. That website is darkmatternews.com. So darkmatternews.com. And that's where we post a lot of our paranormal news articles and stuff like that. And that's where people can find us on those websites. And you can also find us on any other social media platform by typing in Phantom Detectives LLC.
Okay. Yeah, you sent me, if not all of those links, most of them, and I've got them shared in the show notes. So anybody that wants to check those out can just click on our show notes, and the links are there. All right, Josh, thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out and share some of this with me. I appreciate it, buddy.
No problem. Hey, I had a great time, and we can do this again anytime.
All right, we will stay in touch. I hope you have a good night, bud.
You too.
Thanks again. See ya.
You too. Bye.
All right, there you have it. Another one down. Well, thank everybody for hanging out with me tonight. Paranormal Odyssey Live. I'm glad that got to spend a little bit of time together. Thanks again, everybody, for all the support, everything you do. I want to ask everyone head over to TikTok and Instagram and follow us over there. And again, guys, everybody let me know what you think about the new intro as well as the new logo. Put a lot of time and effort into those. So yeah, guys, thanks again for everything that you do. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Be good to each other, and we'll see you.